Senator Ogden, you're recognized on Article 12.
Mr. President, before we go there, well, let me see here. If it's okay, I would like to go to special topics on border security and recognize Senator Hinojosa, and then come back around to Article 12, and I need to talk about 9, 10, and 11 too.
Okay. Did you want to do the compensation issues, all the special topics, or just border security?
You'll go through those special topics, and then ask to be recognized after we've completed those.
Thank you. Senator Hinojosa, you're recognized on border security.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. On border security, we had discussion with the governor's office, DPS, and Parks and Wildlife as to how much money we needed to make sure that our border was secure. We had total appropriations of $112.8 million, all funds. I will tell you that during the discussions, we added 56 extra DPS officers to the border area. We added 10 Texas Rangers were funded. In addition to that, we had money for to coordinate the governor's office to apply for $23.6 million in stimulus funds from grants to border security initiatives. We also had to tighten up the rules in terms of findings that were made by the state office of audit, the state auditor's office. There were findings on some of the money that was being paid to some of the local sheriffs. In the way they were charging for overtime. We tightened the rules and procedures and had tighter oversight over that. In addition, we funded some of the requests that the governor had for the Fusion Center and to keep track of gangs in not only South Texas, but in gangs in the rest of the state. Mr. President, that is my presentation on border security.
Thank you, Senator Hinojosa. You're recognized on compensation issues.
On compensation, we provided targeted pay raises in areas of high concern, such as the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, the Texas Youth Commission, court attorneys, financial regulators, and DPS. We provided increases in salaries for certain exempt positions to match the state auditor's recommendations on a study that was made by the auditor's office. But in general, we try to limit all salary increases to no more than 10%.
Senator Patrick, for what purpose do you rise?
A question on the border security from a moment ago.
Do you yield, Senator Hinojosa?
Yes.
Thank you, Senator, and Mr. Vice Chairman of Finance. Thank you for your work on this. I have a question. It appears to me that if you back out the stimulus money we're receiving, about $23 million that the governor will use, we are still spending the same amount of money moving forward on border security as we did in the last budget, about $111, and this time $112 million. And I have a concern with all the news stories we see, all the information we receive in our offices, discussions I've had with people here in the state, that the violence on the south of the border is obviously ratcheting up at a dramatic level. Even the President of the United States is looking at this issue. And do you feel comfortable that we are passing a budget that basically spends the same money we spent in the last budget with an escalation of violence and a threat of it pouring over to our state?
At this point, I do, Senator, and the reason for that is most of the violence is taking place on the Mexican side of the border, not the Texas side of the border. I know some situations will be somewhat exaggerated, but at the same point, we have to be prepared. And what we're doing is that we are increasing the number of DPS officers along the border. We're increasing the number of Parks and Wildlife officers along the border. At the same time, we are assisting local law enforcement with additional monies to buy equipment and to update some of the communication devices they use.
How about for the local sheriffs along the border, those 15, 16 counties? How much money will be going to them to continue their programs? I know there was a concern last time Well, there were many concerns, but one of the concerns from them was that they were receiving dollars and they could hire part-time, but they couldn't hire full-time people.
Actually, we left quite a bit of money with the governor's office under the burn grant program that he could use as discretionary funds for different projects, not only along the border, but the rest of the state. And for the monies that we set aside to help out the overtime issues with the border sheriffs, we appropriated approximately $21.5 million.
Well, as Senator Corona did a few moments ago on the transportation issue, I just also wanted to put on the record that I think this is an issue that threatens our economy, threatens our safety along the border and into our cities. And I'm concerned that we're not spending any more money in this next budget than we did in the last budget, and I think it's something we have to watch very, very carefully.
I don't want to minimize the situation along the border. I know that we have issues, we have problems. There are a lot more killings, more assassinations on this side, on the U.S. side. Most of the time they're dealing with drug dealers, people who get caught as informants or snitches, people who are stealing a load or steal the money. So there is an issue. And I think we are prepared, as far as Texas is concerned, in terms of responding to any crossover, that violence. Certainly we need more help from the federal government, and as you well know, President Obama has already stated that he's focusing more on the situation, trying to come up with ways to assist Mexico to handle the situation, and hopefully that will help out in containing the violence in Mexico and at some point controlling the drug cartels.
And am I correct, last question, that this money in the past was going through DPS, but now it is not going through the Department of Public Safety?
Well, there's some money is going to DPS to fund the extra officers needed along the border. Some money is going to Parks and Wildlife. Other money is going to the governor's office in terms of grants and assistance to the local sheriff's departments along the border.
So the governor will have a lot of latitude in this?
The governor will have a lot of latitude and discretion on how to spend some of the money.
Thank you, Senator.
Which, by the way, we pretty much fulfilled all of the requests he made in terms of assistance with the Fusion Center and with the data for keeping track of gangs.
Senator Hinojosa, did you finish on compensation issues?
Yeah, I did that already.
Okay. And Senator Abert, you're recognized on GO
Please, Senator
bonds.
Shapley.
President, may
Excuse
we-
me, Senator Shapley,
we have
I beg your
a colloquy
pardon.
on border security, if we may.
Yes, you're recognized. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. I want to, Senator Patrick, engage you on this issue of border security because that's where we live. And I don't think there's any place that's been more affected than Juarez, where you had over 2,000